Okay, welcome back everybody. Mr. Walker here for your ELA class. Today we're going to work on the next lesson. That is Subunit 2, Lesson 2. Specifically says, what details grab your attention? In the last class we focused on writing about a time that you were doing something that you enjoyed. And we wanted to use real specific details about that. And today we're going to kind of expand on that. And so let's show you exactly what we're talking about. First thing I want to do is, again, remind you, you need to be doing your vocabulary daily. Make sure you spend some time, every single time you log into this platform, do a few words. I'm looking at it, it's going to be graded. Say no more. Next thing that they want to talk about is the library. We've already used the library a little bit. On the second slide, they want you to go to the library and pick 3 books that you have interest in. At the end of this class today, there's a solo activity. Solo activities are things that are designed for in the classroom to be assigned as homework. Usually in class, I have the great privilege of sharing your work, have a lot of group conversations, we do a lot of things together. Obviously, I don't have that luxury here from our platform because we don't have any group. So that said, you're going to see me assign the solos often. Today's solo specifically asks you to pick out a section in one of the books that you've selected and talk about a specific moment that the author selected. So if you don't do the library selection and you don't pick 3 books you're interested in, well, you probably see where this is going. That's going to be a bit of a challenge. So do that. Pick a few books, because at the end of this, at the solo, you're going to need to do that assignment, and then it's going to need you to pick a section from it. If you don't remember how to get to the library, again, it's pretty easy. You go up to the stack, you click it, and then over there on the right-hand side it says library. Click that. Pick out, type in a search for whatever you're interested in. There's a lot of books in there, so if you're one of those people who hates to read, cool. There's something in there you might like. There's a subject about almost anything in there. So again, pick those things, and that way you can go ahead and do the solo assignment, because it's also going to be graded. I'm grading a lot of stuff to make sure that we can stay focused. This is all we've got for development. We've only got 4 or 5 days a week to get it done. So let's make sure that we're focusing on it. All right, let's go into the actual lesson here. After you finish the library thing on slide 2, you're going to want to go to slide 3. We're going to revisit the idea of focus. What was focus? And again, the whole point there was that we're going to focus on something small out of something big. So I'm going to show you this slide, and that is the exact same thing that we already looked at. Okay, that's the same big giant picture, and then we found a small picture, and within that small picture, it was a lot easier for us to pick on something specific. Okay, and so that's what you're supposed to be doing when we're doing focus, is you need to focus on one small thing. Okay, so just to review, this is the slide that we had up yesterday. We were talking about this really large, chaotic image, and there's a million things going on. But instead, we narrowed that down, and we talked about this small image, where these 2 guys are kind of fighting over this belt. And they've given us a really good writing sample right here. Okay, and I want to read this real fast. Vincent had a tight grip on one end of the rope, pulling as hard as he could on Greg. He put his weight in it, too, leaning all the way over until he almost slipped off Malik's back. His lips went tight, and you could see his arm getting straighter and straighter, like the rope was stretching all the way through his body. See how specific that is? Do you feel like you're in the moment? Compare that to whenever they try to describe the big scene. Joy was doing leapfrogs over Ben, and Manuel was standing on his head, obviously showing off for Shonda, who was pretending not to notice him at all. Over on the grass, the B-Boy Club was back practicing some crazy moves. Already, I'm confused. How could all these things be going on at the same time? The story doesn't make any sense. And so that's what we as writers need to focus on, is picking those specific moments to focus in on and concentrate on. So the second writing version is obviously loads better, and that's what we're trying to do. That's what you guys want to get better at. Usually I would pick a couple of spotlights here of students' work, and we would talk about that work and say, okay, hey, here's somebody who did a really good job. And I've had the opportunity to talk to those people before class. I don't have that luxury right now. So I'm not going to do the spotlight, so we're just going to move on with the lesson, and we're going to talk about what they want you guys to do. So if you go to slide 5 right here, it says focus on one moment. And they've got this kind of a long presentation here about cooking salsa. And so I'm going to go ahead and read this while you guys read along with it. Family dinners don't happen a lot in my house, but when they do, cooking with my mom is fun and frantic. My mom rushes in from work and begins throwing things around in the kitchen while urging me to cut vegetables, shred some cheese, lay the table. My mom loves salsa music, so we put on the radio to dance while we cook. After 30 minutes, we turn all that cutting and frying and dancing into a delicious dinner. Then my big brother slumps down and slurps it all up in 5 minutes. Okay, so let's talk about that writing section. I wouldn't necessarily say that writing section is bad. It's actually quite good. It gives us a good idea of what was going on in that particular moment. However, it lacks flavor and emotion. And so what your assignment is on this is to pick a sentence that you think, hey, maybe I could improve that a little bit, and to add some specific details. Specifically, you want to have, for lack of a better word, emotion, feeling. That's what's, I think, missing in this. If it were me and I was doing the assignment, I would do this bit right here, which is my mom loves salsa music, so we put on the radio to dance while we cook. That's a really specific image in my head, because I can imagine being a kid and being silly and watching your parents goof around and dance around the kitchen and laugh and joke and make little hand motions and things like that. I can see that, because that's something that it gives it feeling, right? Instead, this reads as very mechanical. My mom likes to dance around. You could say anything. My mom moved across the kitchen and for some reason decided the chicken dance made a lot of sense because we were making chicken. And I laughed as she waved her arms and clucked. See how that adds a little bit more detail and a little bit more emotion and action to it? That's what we want. Okay? So your job is to spend a little bit of time and add a couple sentences. Pick whatever section you want. Pick whatever section stands out to you and add a little bit of feeling to it. Okay? Okay. Moving on. The next thing that we're doing is talking about sensory details. Now that you've done the previous assignment where you talk about the time you're doing something you really enjoyed, it's going to pop up right over here on the left-hand side. What today's assignment is to add to that. Read it, and then make a listing of a couple of details, a couple of things that maybe you didn't put in the first time, right? If I were doing this myself, I could talk about, because again, we were talking about packs in the swimming pool with the rackets, right? I could talk about how there were 4 different rackets and they were different colors. There's a blue one, a green one, a yellow one, and an orange one. And I don't know if Pax knows the color differences, but I could simply say she grabbed this one first, right? That adds a little bit of flavor to it. I could also talk about the way that she would walk, right? Because she's only a year and a half old, and she's sort of clumsy, right? She kind of ambles a little bit. Or I could talk about, how silly she was whenever she went to get into the pool, because this is a very funny thing that she does. When Pax gets into the pool, I've got these little plastic molded steps that come down into the ground. She turns around and she sticks her leg back until she finds the water, and then she kind of scooches along and then climbs in the pool, because she doesn't want to just go face first and fall over and head in. But again, you see how that specific detail shows you? Sometimes it's difficult to convey this via text, and that's why I had to act it out. But we want to get better at talking it through so that you can convey something that happened verbally. Does that make sense? So first thing, make a couple vivid details, things that maybe you didn't have in your last writing assignment. And think about what things you'd like to add. Put them in this box. Once you're done with that, all you're going to do is go to the next section where it says revise. And all you have to do is take your old writing, and it should show up in here, and just add to it. Put in those extra details. Put in that extra emotion. Your original assignment was 100 words. For your revision, I only want an extra 50 or so. Okay? So if you do another 100, cool. If you do an extra 50, cool. If you do an extra 3, not cool. Okay? today's assignment. Do that. And then the very last thing we're going to have is, as I told you, the solo assignment. The solo assignment asks you to find within one of the sources that you've chosen a few sentences that focus on a very specific detail. So that's it. All you have to do is find 5 to 7 sentences in your book or article or whatever it is that you chose that you wanted to read. Highlight it, paste it into here, done. Those are the 2 things that have to be done for this episode to get full credit for this lesson. I hope to see lots of you guys on the Zoom calls again. I'm always here. If there's anything I can do, you guys know my email. And I'm always open for office hours. So any of you guys who need some one-on-one time, send me an email. Say, hey, I've got some time here. Can we, have a quick Zoom call and you can kind of fill me in on things? Cool, no problem. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Take care until next time.